Hey everybody, and welcome to another episode of Adventures with Andi. Today we are at our frog pond in our backyard, which I have mentioned before. We are out here today because we're going to be doing a project on the pond. The one thing that we did not think about when we chose the spot for this pond is that tree right there, right behind it. That is a persimmon tree, which I know there are people who love persimmons. I haven't really eaten them much myself. But there is one big problem with the persimmon tree, and that is all of this. Those are persimmons. Now, the persimmons are too high in the tree for us to harvest them. So when they get ripe, they just fall off the tree and they hit the ground. It is a constant battle with them to keep our yard from just turning into a persimmon grove. But the real problem with the pond is they just drop down and they land right into the pond, and they hit with force. If you look over at these lily pads over here, those holes that are in them, that's from persimmons depth charging essentially and hitting them with so much force that it just punctures a circle into the lily pad. Some of the persimmons float back up to the top, and we use a pool skimmer to skim them out as best we can, being very careful not to accidentally scoop out any tadpoles. But we're pretty sure that not all of the persimmons float up to the top. Some of them probably do sink to the bottom. The tadpoles will eat some of them. We don't know if they can eat all of them. The other problem that we run into is because we have so many trees all around our house, we've constantly got leaves in the fall, and sometimes even in the summer, falling into the pond. And you can see leaves floating in the pond now. We're in September now, and some of the trees are starting to turn and lose their leaves already. We don't want too much of that vegetable matter in there decaying and causing a problem with the water quality for the frogs and the tadpoles. And we have dragonfly that come around and lay eggs in here, and those eggs hatch and they have dragonfly larvae that live in there, and there's all kinds of aquatic life that's in there. And the pond is really healthy. We test the water and make sure that it's a good quality. We've got barley logs in there that work as filters. We've got actual pond filters and aerators to keep things moving. We've got all kinds of plants. The lily pads, the things that look like smaller lily pads are frog bit. We've got some water lettuce in there. Not very much of it. It never seems to do great for some reason, although we were told it would take over your pond. Those are the things that look kind of like lettuce heads put in water. Way in the back, and then over there we've got some water hyacinths. Some. We have a lot. We did not plant this many of anything in here. If I had a picture to show you from when we put the plants in earlier this year, you would be just as shocked as we are at how much this has grown. How many water lettuce did you start with, Chad?
6 water lettuce.
And how many do we have now?
I see 9.
9?
Mm-hmm. 10.
Okay.
11, 12, 13.
Okay. How many water hyacinths did you start with, Chad?
6.
How many do we have now?
A lot.
We don't even try to count the water hyacinths anymore.
3 frog bit.
And the frog bit, as you can see, it's just spread all around the
sensitive
pond.
plants.
Sensitive plants didn't do that great. The frog bit over there, you can see there's a spot. It's trying to climb out of the pond, y'all. It's trying to escape and take over the world. I don't think it can try to survive outside of a water element, though. I'm really happy about the lilies, the lily pads. They're doing really good. And that little thing you see poking up out of the water right there, that little tip coming up, that's a water lily. They come up and they stick around for a few days, and then they go back down, and another one comes up, and you can, if you look under the water, you can see where there have been others that have exhausted and are going down. But anyway, yes, the pond, because of all of these plants and the barley logs we've got in there, and the filters and the aerators that we've got in here, the pond is really healthy. We can tell that because we have frogs and tadpoles and other aquatic life, things like that, living in here. If it wasn't healthy, then especially the tadpoles, they would all die off. They're incredibly sensitive. So the fact that we still have tadpoles in here, we see them swimming around every day. Not very many of them out today because it's kind of chilly and they don't like the cold. But the fact that we still have them, the fact that we have frogs that come here and lay eggs, and when they lay eggs, I mean, it is like a blanket of eggs that will cover, like, a good quarter of the pond. That all tells us it's a healthy environment. The project we're doing today, we want to put something up that will block the leaves and the persimmons, at least somewhat, from falling in the pond, to make our lives easier in trying to skim all that out, and also to make sure we don't have a whole lot of excess building up at the bottom of the pond that could take it from being a healthy environment to being a less healthy environment. Yes, if you look right there, you can see that's like a whole huge stick with persimmons on it that just came down. I mean, now it's just making stuff up now. I'm telling you, yeah, they're seriously all over here. You see all of the persimmons; they're all over here.
You almost had a guest star.
Who
One of the frogs popped up.
Oh, did he?
And then he saw he was on camera. Went back down. I don't know if I caught him or not then.
All of the frogs except for one are incredibly shy. And the one who's not incredibly shy, we call the mayor. And we can tell he looks different from the others. We've got a couple of them. They definitely look different from everybody else. And they're the ones that come back. I say each year, but we've only had the pond for, a year now?
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, they were here last year. They came back again this year. Hopefully they keep coming back around. So eventually what we want to do is we want to build a pergola over the pond and put some seating in where we can, benches, where we can sit down, maybe even some mosquito netting, and put some netting over the top of that would protect the pond from leaves and persimmons. That is a pretty big project, though. Bigger than anything we've ever done, and we would probably have to, we would definitely be asking some friends of ours who are more experienced to come over and help us with that. Unfortunately, since we are all still in the time of Corona, that is not something that we can do. So that project is going to have to wait, and we came up with an idea for something we can do today, though, just the two of us, that should work at least in the short term. Okay, so we've got this pond netting. We got it specifically from a website that specializes in pond supplies, and it should work really well to keep any persimmons or leaves from getting into the pond. The problem is it just comes with these little stakes that would only raise it up off the ground. I mean, not even the height of the stone wall that we've got built around it. We could put it in the flower bed portion, but that's still, we want to make sure that we don't have it so low that the frogs have trouble getting in and out of it. We don't want to come out here one morning and find a frog or a squirrel or a rabbit or a raccoon or possums or deer or definitely not a skunk tangled up in it. And all of those we know from our wildlife cam have visited our house on a regular basis. The possums come by almost every night. So we want to make sure that we've got this high enough off the ground that none of them are going to get tangled in it. These are not going to do that. But I had an idea for something that would. And that is these. This is a garden stake. It is 1-inch square steel, and it's got 4 of these hooks that go out, 1 on each side. It's pretty sturdy. It's a lot taller than me.
They're 8 feet tall.
Oh, they're 8 feet tall?
Yeah.
But that doesn't, well, that counts this
That
here.
does count the...
But we've got 6 of these. And we're going to line them 3 along each side of the pond.
Mm-hmm.
And attach the netting that we've got to these so that they'll hang off of these. And if need be, one of the reasons we got the kind that has 4 of these hooks is that if we feel that the net is pulling down too much on this and they're starting to lean in, we can always counterbalance it by putting something heavier off of one of these hooks on the other side. And if worse comes to worse, we can always take this and sink it into some concrete in a container. That actually was actually our original plan, and we were thinking about doing it with wooden posts and just like 5-gallon buckets that we could then paint and decorate. Unfortunately, apparently, we cannot get concrete mix delivered to our house from the store. Who knew? So we went with this instead, and we actually kind of like it better. But yeah, if worse comes to worse, if need be, we can get some nice garden containers. Go out and pick up some Quickcrete and just sink these into that with some Quickcrete, and that should hold it sturdy enough. It's not like this net, even with some leaves on it, is going to get that heavy. So next thing we need to do is we've got to put these together. Okay, as we were putting these together, we noticed we've got this adhesive here from where the sticker was, and it just does not want to come off. And then we've got some spots on some of these where the paint's chipped off, and we've got some rust. So we're going to clean that up real quick and get this adhesive off of here, and then we're going to hit these spots where the paint's chipped off with some black spray paint real quick before we put it in the ground, because we want to make sure that this is in good shape.
The wind kept changing direction on me.
Okay, so now we need to measure out around the pond exactly where we want to place each of the stakes. So we're going to do that now, and then we'll go ahead and put these stakes in the ground.
going to be doing is we're going to be using some zip ties to attach the mesh to the posts, and that way we can potentially run the zip ties through a few of these holes, and that way lessen the amount of stress placed on just one of the pieces of fiber here.
And what we're going to do is we're going to put the zip tie through and just, zip it. We're not going to clamp it all the way down. So it'll be a circle, sort of like, kind of like a ring, and that'll just slip over the...
And that'll give it a little bit more leeway as well for holding up the weight of the leaves.
Yeah. One thing we didn't think about when we decided to do this is that the pond is not an even shape. It's not an even rectangle. So we've got one post that was a little bit further out than the others. We'll see how that works. We don't really want to put it in the flower bed for a couple reasons. For one thing, that soil is really, really soft. We've got lots of amendments in there, but also with all the stone crop and everything, there are frogs living in there. And we don't want to potentially hurt one of them putting this in. These are reusable zip ties, so if it doesn't fit quite right the first time through, we can always just push this little button, undo it, and redo it. We're not going to be wasting zip ties.
That should be enough, I think, there.
It's not going to be very effective.
I think you need this one.
Okay. Now we need to keep flipping that around.
Yeah. Is this where you play yak and staffs?
One more, we're getting there.
Or do we just...
No, that won't work. There we go. There we go. How big was this pond net that you bought?
I bought a 15 by 20 pond net.
We measured this to be 15 to 20, where we spaced the stakes.
To be a tight fit.
To be a tight fit.
There's some play.
There's a little play. So we're going to go ahead and move the stakes further out from the pond, which actually helps us with this one, until it is, pulled tight.
Not tight, but tighter.
Yeah. And as of right now, it doesn't stretch all the way the length of the pond, which is fine. Our bigger concern is that end. But we might need to get 2 more of these garden stakes, which we were aware of when we planned this project. But we wanted to start with 6 and see if that would be enough first. So, what do you think? A foot back on each one?
Let's start at that end. And move that in like a foot, and then play it by ear from there.
Now we just need to hammer the stakes into the ground the rest of the way with our little rubber mallet.
Mm-hmm. Knock stuff out.
Okay. Hold it for me. Workout. I know there's a good workout, good strong workout. Alright, so it may not be the prettiest thing in the world. You know, with the way it sags down here, we will definitely have to come up with a more long-term solution for that. Do they make these nets to be bigger?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, so we might have to see about getting a larger net that we can actually cut down to the size that we need. For now, this at least will protect our frog pond from leaves. You know, it's going to catch the leaves. It's going to at least catch some of the persimmons. It doesn't cover all the way over on this end, but this end is not our biggest concern because it's further away from the tree. It's going to get some leaves, but not as many. And it's not going to get persimmons. Persimmons don't hit this far. We've got it completely covered on the other end, and the netting is up high enough now that we did this that we don't have to worry about any of our little wildlife visitors getting caught in it. There is a concern that birds might get caught in it. Hopefully not. But it will at least protect everything from the hawk. Yes, there's a hawk in our neighborhood too. But yeah, at least for now, this will work as a solution. These are in the ground really good. We'll have to keep an eye on it and see how much, if any, it pulls down. Because we've got 4 of these hooks here, and only one of them is holding on to the mesh netting, that means that we have 3 of them on each of these posts. So 18? 18, look at me doing that. We have 18 that we can use just to make decorations to hang from, like little solar lights or wind chimes or baskets of flowers. But for now, you think it's good, Chad?
I'd say it's good for right now.
I say it's good for right now too. I'm happy with it. It will at least provide some protection until we can get something more permanent up.
Mm-hmm.
So, good day's work, huh?
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Great. Well, thank you all for joining us on this adventure. I hope you had fun. I hope it at least was enlightening, maybe gave you some ideas if you have a similar situation that you're trying to deal with. Oh, look, it's caught its first leaf. And another one over there. That way. I just came to try to got that one. And it works. I'm excited. It's the little things that excite me. Check out all the persimmons that we caught. This, oh my God, this one right here. I mean, that is a lot of persimmons. We've got a whole lot still here in the flower bed, but they are not in the pond. And that is the important thing. And we do have footage from the other day where 2 of the 3 possums who come around our house at night were eating persimmons. So we know they will clean up some of them for us. I think the skunk was eating persimmons too, wasn't it, Chat? Yes.
He was, or she was.
She was. Yep. That was a persimmon. Luckily it missed both of us. It's just mush on the ground now. That splat right there, I think, was it. They hit with force, man. But now we have to get these persimmons off. Chad says he has plans for how to do that. Okay, so how's your plan to do this, Chad? What you got planned?
I'm just gonna try to figure this out.
Okay.
Try to line it up there. I guess first I'll just set that there, unhook this, and see what we can do with it.
And as long as it doesn't go in the pond,
Yeah.
we're good. Is this going to be a two-person job, Chad? Nope. Nope.
Nope.
There we go.
That's done.
And then we just hook it back up there again. All right, y'all. Well, that's how it's going to work. We still got to get the sides, but basically it's the same procedure. But wanted to show you how well it worked. So, y'all have a good day, and we will see you on our next adventure. Bye. Say bye, Chad.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.